same degree.
Yeah.
The other piece is that just like for the listeners, I want them to know too, is what I found is when you're doing your gratitude meditation or your I am statements or whatever, part of it is not just rotely saying it, and you can write it down and you can listen to a YouTube one and you can do it a lot of different ways. And I've done them all, but I do it in a long time. So I have it.
You built the muscle.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like, you need to remind yourself every morning.
You do.
So you got to get up and do it every morning.
If you don't work out, you lose the muscle.
And the way that you make it long term is you have to get it to stick in the subconscious mind, right?
So you have to feel it.
Yeah, so you gotta feel it.
Yeah,
so you need that. That's it.
Yeah, I gotta feel it.
That's the secret key, is having the feeling that's connect with the thought so that it can break into the subconscious.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's such a hard job for us to constantly? Why isn't it natural in our bodies to want to do best for ourselves? Why is it how come we always steam to the negative and that kind of thing?
I think it's a condition of the mind and being a human. And again, you don't have to, but we tend to. I think TV does it. I think social media does it.
We're conditioned to, I think.
We're conditioned to do it.
Through
exactly,
life and,
right?
Like you said, through media.
Yeah.
But even through our parents and society and
yeah,
all of it. It's just...
So,
I know it's a continued practice. It's a continued practice to look better on stuff. I mean, you said you have to wake up every day. It's a continued practice to do better. I mean, like, I have to go to the gym today. It's a thing that you have to work at every day.
Totally, right? And like, what a better thing to work at.
And it bears magical fruit.
Totally, right? So when people are like, Dr. Brett, why are you so fucking jacked all the time on life and this stuff? And it's like, I don't know, really. I'm just like, but I know a lot.
Yeah.
And part of it is like, eat clean food, drink clean water, exercise, practice mindful practices. And if you do that shit, it synergizes into like, life's going to be okay.
It's almost too simple for people to wrap their heads around.
Why do we fight it so much? When it's so simple in front of us, we fight it.
Society's built to be constantly getting our attention.
Not everybody does fight it.
No,
right?
not true.
But I think it's a process of exploration and learning. So if you're raised and your family isn't like geared around this, you might not even be tuned into it. It's like, I didn't have a family who was into like finance and understanding
all that. It's a learned thing,
so
right?
Then I had to learn it later in life, right? Whereas like, again, I grew up in a psychologist house where I was learning about all this stuff. And not even learning, it was never taught to me. It was just the life that I was living.
You were experiencing it, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
And exposed to different...
Yeah, and that's like... I think, again, why I found and how I found the holistic perspective on...
I mean, living a positive life, you feel good about it. I mean, but do you set goals for yourself? What's your next set of goals? Because if you've accomplished a lot in your lifetime, you've accomplished a lot. What's the next part of your story, Dr. Brett?
Okay, so to answer your first question... Yes, you have to set goals. If you don't have a roadmap for what you want and where you're going, it's hard to know where you're going. So one of my good friends, reinforced what I was already learning. And I've seen him manifest a lot of things through his goals. And I've looked at my life and it's like most of the things that I have in my life, it's because at one point I wrote it down on paper. It was under business, it was under family, it was under health, it was under my individual children. But like thought creates.
100%.
So you need to think about what you want. And that's where, again, when people's like energy and thought patterns are stuck in shoulda, coulda, wouldas, the past, and what ifs, the future, it's a huge consumption of energy. And it has a very real in the moment effect, which is usually anxiety, depression, stress. So through pulling it back into the present moment, you then can redirect it into creative energy. Mm-hmm. And so when you write down these goals, it's kind of like, again, you're like planting certain seeds in you.
I mean, that's exactly what I did when all this came to like the Scotty to Audie thing. It's like, I never thought I would ever go this direction. I was hoping that I would, but I mean, like I wrote down on my walls, I had week 1 and I set my goals. And week 2, week 3, week 4, and I mean, I wrote them down physically so I could look at them every day.
Yeah.
And I seen them up there, and I stroke every one of them off. I never felt so accomplished in my life.
I don't have it on me right now, but what I do is I write it down. Actually, I have a bigger piece of paper, and then I'll write it down on a little card, and I keep it in my wallet. So I'll pull it out, and it'll have like 20 goals on it.
Oh,
and you know what?
Good for you, man.
The other thing that my good friend taught me about goals is, which is helpful, is you don't always have to like get them all. They're not about like you have to achieve them. It's like you're on this journey and you might go, oh, this isn't really what I want.
I love that.
Right? And then so you go over here and you can rewrite your goals,
yeah,
right?
Totally. You don't have to like beat yourself up because you're not hitting them or something.
That's right. Or that you change your mind.
Another good point is that you make them smaller goals so they're achievable instead of making one big goal that seems like it's too far off. So you make baby steps to be able to achieve that bigger goal in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. That's so awesome. I have a question for you. So in your practice, we were talking a little bit earlier and you said something to me about your favorite part of your practice when it comes to patients. Can you just go in on that a little bit?
Yeah, you know what? It's the relationships that you build, right? Again, it's that a human comes into your space. They may or may not have known me. But as they get to know me and I get to know them, you build this like relationship. It's really, circulated around trust. And what I was saying is that I find that one of my superpowers is being able to connect with everybody pretty quick. And part of that is non-judgment, right? Part of that is like, I find, sometimes a lot of doctors talk science and they can't bring it into, again, a more like
layman's terms.
Yeah. Right? And that's where I'm like, hey, I can totally translate that. Like, here's what you're doing. Yeah. Here's what you got to do, and again, knowing what we were just talking about helping people just talk and release a lot of their stuff, I can create that sort of environment right away. And so what happens is you fall into this relationship where it's so tight that
it's a bond that you don't want to break.
Exactly. Right. It's like, man, I get to help you. Like, and you're not supposed to take gifts as a physician. But one of the things that I personally love the most about my job is when a patient is so happy. And don't forget, I'm private medicine, so they pay to come and see me. And, and then they still bring me a gift, whether it's like,
a hat.
It could, exactly, right? It could be a hat. It could be flowers. It could be... I cannot, confirm or deny
anything about that.
Yeah, so that's again, that's the cool part is, there's people in my practice that I care so much about that when
these allegations are false. And I need to go back to work.
I'm helping you figure your shit out. Like, through and through, I'm doing my best to be an awesome member on your health team. And I know a lot of shit. And again, all different angles. Like, the other thing with naturopathic medicine that a lot of people don't realize or don't know is the scope of practice is bigger than any form of medicine that we have.
It's been around for centuries.
Yeah, it's been, natural medicine. Like, when people tell me they don't believe in naturopathic medicine, I'm like, you don't believe in diet and exercise and water? I'm like, what are you talking about? There's obviously other things, but when I was looking to get into it, there was, I looked at chiropractic, I looked at physiotherapy, I looked at traditional Chinese medicine, I looked at conventional medicine, I looked at psychology. None of it really felt right. Like, it all felt good, but it didn't quite feel right. And then one day I discovered naturopathic medicine, and I was like, in the naturopathic curriculum, you learn diet, exercise, mindfulness, lifestyle stuff, but you also learn herbal medicine, you learn homeopathic medicine, you learn traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So I do acupuncture. I learned chiropractic, which is called naturopathic manipulation and naturopathic medicine. but I do adjustments. I learned all the pharmacology like your regular MD doctor.
Yeah.
And then I've done these progressive treatments, which we were talking about
Yes.
earlier.
What were they called again?
Prolotherapy, which is the regenerative injection for injured ligaments and tendons.
They do this in animals too, correct?
Sure. Yeah, any animal.
I
don't do it in animals.
When I had a dog back in the day, prolotherapy. You said something different, I think, on the deck. Maybe the medical term for it. Or something. But anyway, cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. You're right. The scope of practice is huge.
I was like, wow. And some doctors just like zone in on one area. When I started, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. I'm going to do all of it. Yeah. And you know, you're working really hard for the first 5 to like 7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. And then like, I would say around my year 10, it just synergized. I was like, holy shit, I know a lot of fucking shit.
I am the master.
Yeah, I got a lot of this down. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like stoked because I'm like healing people,
You're healing people.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I mean, obviously, the biggest thing about being a doctor is like, I mean, you enjoy helping people, but I mean, like, there's got to be something. There's got to be another thing there. That's your big click.
So the other thing with naturopathic medicine that was a click was that I watched my parents work super, 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 super hard for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And one of my attractions, though it's also probably my biggest challenge with naturopathic medicine, is that it's privatized medicine. Mm-hmm. So it's patient pays, right? You get very good service, and you get, again, a type of thinking that you don't get anywhere else. But, you know, it limits some people, right?
Yeah, it's very limiting for a lot of people.
You know, which is the hardest part. So I have a population of people that I just help. Mm-hmm. Because that's what I do, and that's, you know, I want to do that. That's how I get back, right? And then I got my patients that can, like, you know, pay to be there,
right?
It's a business.
So, but the point was, thank you, is that if I was going to put in all this energy and love, I wanted to like be compensated appropriately for
100%.
it. And I got a big family, got 4 kids and all that, you know, and I want to have fun, and like, So I saw an opportunity in naturopathic medicine also to not be held in this box, but be out and get to be a bit of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, what more in the Canadian society does somebody want to be a doctor and an entrepreneur all rolled up in one? That's the biggest dream of anybody. I tell you,
right? And that's what, and everybody thinks it's like shooting stars and beauty and all this. It's not like that. You work hard.
Yeah.
You know, one morning I was, you know, outside early in the morning, going to work early because I need to change let me start this. Theo comes out.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing, Dad? And I'm loading a ladder and tools into the back of my truck. And I'm like, I'm going to work. And he looks and he goes, aren't you a doctor? I was like, yeah, but I need to change the light bulb. You know? Right? It's like, I'm an entrepreneur too. There's light bulbs that need to be changed. There's music that needs to be figured out. There's like,
you got to be on top of a lot of things.
So much more to it, right?
Well, I mean, you have employees that work for you now too. I mean, I would assume, right? I mean, like, is that?
Oh yeah, totally.
And then you have 2 practices, one in West Cone and one here. I mean, like, that's double the duty, bud.
I know.
You're a superstar, and I really like that. I see that.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
It's a twinkle in your eye. I can see it, man.
Yeah.
Right on.
Magical.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I just me being me, man. Just
you know what? I really see that in you, and like when we were hanging out there one day, I mean, like I seen a real peace inside you. It's all good, man.
You know what, my friend? I have a very active life and a very colorful life, and I have shit going on just like everybody else. And I've just, again, learned it's not fucking easy. And but I work on it.
That's another thing that I seen in you, is that you had the same problems as what we all have. Because, I mean, we talked about a couple. When you came to me for a little advice, and you asked me. And I mean, like, I appreciate that. I mean, I really appreciated that moment. But I mean, like, what I seen there is that you're just like all of the rest of us. I mean, you're a good guy, but you are a top-notch guy.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what do you want? What's the next thing that you want to achieve in your lifetime? Like, what's your big one that you're like? It's on your bucket list. It's on your bucket list. What's there for me, man?
All right. Well, I have many, right? because I write down my goals. So I'm just trying to think again. What one do I want to talk about?
A lot. Yeah.
Right?
There's no end.
You know, I constantly working on both business and personal life. Business wise, I feel like my journey with helping people one-on-one has been awesome, and I will always do it. And that's why I love that I'll always have this clinic, but it might go from like 4 days a week to 1. And then what I want to do is through some of my social media avenues, which was a total surprise to me. And literally it was my 16-year-old son who like set up my account initially and was like,